Miss Wright. Such a beautiful day outside. I thought I'd step outside and show you my garden. Let's take a look here. Look at all the great things that Miss Wright is planting. If you'll look, you'll see that I'm planting some green beans. You see that it's just a plant here. If you look over here, I'm planting some jalapenos. Miss Wright likes to put those in my tacos, and you'll see that this is also just a small, tiny plant. If you look here, friends, this is actually, if you look closely, it's a tomato plant. Do you see this little yellow flower here? This flower, if you can get just a little bit closer, this flower is actually the part that's going to turn into the tomato. It has to die first. But let me go ahead and show you a plant that is producing. Follow me. If you look closely, friends, you see all of these here? These are not grapes, friends. These are actually tomatoes. They start really small here, you see? And then they start to get a little bit bigger. They start green, and then they start to get a little bit yellowish red. And then, when they're ready and they're ripe to be picked, friends, they turn scarlet red. We're going to talk today about how food actually gets to your lunchbox, how it's going to get in your lunchbox and how it's going to get onto your tables, how it just starts to grow in a garden first, friends. If you look closely, Miss Wright needs to actually put a stick to probably help this plant stand up. This green part right here, this is called a stalk. It's called a stalk, friends, and we're going to learn more about that today in our vocabulary. I want to show you something else. If you will, first I'm going to pick this. So you can see it. This is ready to harvest. Some friends say harvest. Miss Wright says pick, but harvest. But let's go on over to the table here. Follow me. I'm going to show you how you get this started. Well, if I cut this tomato open, you will see on the inside those seeds. You see those tiny seeds on the inside, friends? I actually have to plant the seed in order to get a plant. And after I plant the seed, like I'm starting some little seedlings here, it's what you call it. So these are some little seedlings. These are actually mustard greens. So I planted these as seeds, and then they started to grow a little bit of a plant, and then I could put it actually in the garden. But that's how it all works, friends. So we're going to talk today with some vocabulary on how you get the food that we grow in our gardens and on our farms to our lunch boxes and to our tables. Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about the critical vocabulary and how did that get into my lunchbox, the story of food. Okay, so Miss Wright wants to get to our vocabulary for this particular story. And our very first word that we are going to talk about here is stalk. Okay, just like I talked about the stalk of the tomato plant that I showed you in my garden, you can see here that these tall green things here are stalks. Okay, so they almost look like trees, but they are called stalks. What is a stalk? A stalk is a main stem of a plant, just like I showed you in my tomato plant. Okay? The stalk of a bamboo tree extends high into the air. And so that's what that was. And I'm going to go back to the picture really quick here. That was a stalk of a bamboo tree if you look closely there. Okay? The next word that we want to look at today is a what? Can any of you guess what this is? I'm pretty sure you can. These are cows in the picture. And what do cows do for us? They do amazing things for us. They provide us dairy. Okay, that is what that word is, dairy. When we think about dairy, we think about lots of different products. We think about milk, yogurt, cheese, lots of yummy things that we might have in our lunchbox or in our lunch when we're having lunch at school. Okay. A dairy is a place where milk is prepared for drinking or is made into other products like butter, cream, and cheese. Okay? The best part of our trip to the dairy was getting to pet the cows. Here is another dairy product. Another dairy product. Some of you may have uh, seen these before, or you may be familiar with this. These are called curds. These are called curds. If you look really closely at the picture, you can see that they're very, very small. Okay. What are curds? I'm so glad you asked me that. Curds are the lumps that form in milk when it turns sour. So you may have seen this when some milk has gone bad in the refrigerator and you get ready to have some cereal and you're like, oh gosh, what is this? A big lump in the milk and it smells horrible. That's called a curd, friends. The bowl is filled with cottage cheese curds. Some friends actually go to the grocery store and buy cottage cheese and eat it. It is actually very healthy for us. Okay, so that is what a curd is, friends. This word, just by looking at this picture, what do you think might happen when this mom, grown up or parent, puts the solution on that boo-boo on the knee? That's what I call it when my kids get a little scrape or a little cut or something like that. What do you think is going to happen? It's probably going to burn, or it's probably going to be tingly, have a sensation like that. That's, not very pleasant. Okay, so that is what this word is, tingly. Okay, so let me tell you what that means. Something that feels tingly stings. And we all know when something stings. If we get a scrape and you have to put alcohol on your knee, or some peroxide sometimes will be a little tingly. So something that feels tingly stings a little or feels prickly. Okay? And we all know what prickly feels like. His knee feels tingly as a nurse cleans his injury. Okay? So it feels tingly. Oh gosh, what word is this, friends? This word is scarlet. Scarlet. When I think of scarlet, I think of red. These beautiful roses are red. They're scarlet. Just like Miss Wright talked about in my garden when I was showing you my cherry tomatoes. If something is scarlet, it is a bright red color. Okay, it's a bright red color. The roses were a deep scarlet color. Okay, let's look at our next word, friends. What word is this? Looking at this picture, I don't know. What word do you think this would be? I see some trees in the picture. It looks like I see some fruit on the trees. This word is actually grove. It's actually grove. Well, what does grove mean, Miss Wright? What do these trees and maybe the fruit on the trees have to do with the word grove? I'm so glad you asked me. Let's look at it and see. A grove is a group of trees that are close to one another. Okay? It says, the orchid has a grove of apple trees. So that's what grove means.